right. We're getting some of you guys joining in here. Some familiar faces and some that I haven't met before. Got Andrew, Brian. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, Jared. How are you this morning?
Doing great. Doing great. Where are you located, Andrew?
I'm in northeastern Nevada.
Very nice.
Yeah, Spring Creek, if you've ever heard of Elko, Nevada. It's kind of almost midway between Reno and Salt Lake City.
My mother-in-law and father-in-law live up in Montana, and they drive through Elko on their way from Sacramento here back through. So it's one of the stops where I know they've stopped halfway and spent the night or something. So that's why I've heard of it. I've never been there, but I know that they have a hotel or motel along the way.
Yeah, yes, they do. Yeah, a few of them, some casinos, and we're famous up here, I guess, for our Basque restaurants. It's a pretty good Basque community.
Nice.
A lot of sheep and stuff run through this country way back when, and we have something called the Star Hotel, which is a restaurant that serves some unbelievable steaks and stuff. So if you ever come through, stop at the Star.
Absolutely. All right. If I ever make a drive up to Butte, Montana, I'll make sure that we stop there in Elko on the way. So that's awesome. Good. That was awesome. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm good, Jared.
Where are you located out there?
I'm in Vermont.
Vermont, next to where we have Jay Cook.
About 40 miles from Canada.
Okay. Jay Cook up there. So you guys are out there middle of golf season, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I just chatted with Jay Cook last week. And so he was saying, we actually need more snow. And I'm like, all right, if that's what you guys in Vermont want more of, go for it.
We got about 2 inches here in northeastern Nevada this morning, which was we're doing the same thing, needed more snow. It's the only way our golf courses stay alive is if we get a lot of snow.
Right.
I'll send you some of mine.
Chad Fainer, familiar face. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, boys, and we have lots of snow here, and you're more than welcome to come and get it. And I can make arrangements.
Now, see, I can never really. I'm not good with geography. I'm good with U.S. geography, but in Ohio, we didn't learn stuff north of the border. So Canada looks like this to me. So, Chad, where are you in Canada?
I'm pretty close to the border. I'm just above Montana. I think, or Washington. Yeah.
There you go. You got
like you, Jared. I never really focused on the southern part of North America, so it's okay.
There we go. I just think, well, Chad's up there somewhere. I don't know if he's more this way or that way, but it's cold.
Where in Canada are you, Chad?
I'm in Alberta.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of central, western side.
I've got on my spare time when I'm not golfing, I consult in the mining industry. I've left a 30-year mining career to do what I'm doing now. And we just hired my new boss in the consulting world is going to be a guy from Calgary.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm like 2 hours from Calgary.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. My mother's side of the family is all Canadian. My grandparents retired on Vancouver Island. So growing up, that was kind of my home away from home was Vancouver Island as we traveled around.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to hang out.
No, it's a great place to have spent time as a kid for sure.
Well, I love it. We got some people all across, the United States. We even got a little Canadian presence in here. I see Billy and Empao and Wayne. How are you guys doing this morning, John, Tanner? How's everybody doing this morning? You guys unmute yourself if you want to chime in.
Good.
All right. Well, I hope you guys are excited. Like I said, I know some of you guys have, some experience or are working alongside juniors of a bunch of different levels. So definitely want to, that's what this call is going to be all about how we can communicate better with our parents of those junior golfers, how we can really all kind of work together because, sometimes things get a little bit mixed up, we'll say, and we lose some connection and our players are the ones that suffer. So I want this to be open and everything. So at any time you hear something or I might talk a little fast, feel free to jump in that chat box, unmute yourself and we can kind of dive a little deeper in any of this. So with that being said, definitely want to get started here with our presentation that I have. And really what this is going to focus on is how you can help retain your players instead of having players that for some reason might just leave and you're kind of left guessing why they left, maybe whatever. And some of that I found with some of the mistakes that I've made, some of that I found has been just a lack of communication on our end. So with that being said, jump right in here and think. So if you guys want to, jump in the chat box, what are some of the things that you could do as a coach to help everyone? And when I mean everyone, I mean parents, players, coaches. And if you have multiple coaches at your facility that you're working with, how can you help everyone stay on the same page? What are some of the things that you guys do that, again, allow that kind of relationship to take off? So again, you guys can throw some ideas that you're doing or you think might work. Maybe you're not doing and you wish you were, in there. But, are you guys utilizing phone calls? Are you scheduling phone calls? Do you chat with them, weekly? Do you reach out to them only when there's problems? What are some of these things that you guys are doing? A big thing I know, I'm sure probably some of you are doing is texting your players, but are you texting their parents? Is that kind of relationship going? Are we communicating via email? What are some of these ideas? Do any of you guys have any? Chad, what's something that you're doing? I'm going to pick on you a lot today because, you pick on me about my football team sometimes.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll be honest, guys. I mean, this is probably my third year doing a junior league, and like Jared and like most of us, I made a lot of mistakes. So one thing that I'm getting really good at is creating distribution emails when it comes to sharing information, creating distribution lists in categories so I can kind of target specific age groups. But of course, yes, they're going to the parents. So I think the biggest thing that's been beneficial to me, especially going into this season, because I just launched registration for my 2022 program, and one consistent or one positive that I'm getting back is I'm getting a lot of referrals, and they're really happy with how I'm not just structuring a program, but how I'm just humble and I love to help everybody out, how I'm acting with the kids, but taking the time for the kids and taking time to give the parents a little bit of feedback. If I see a problem, if I see something positive, if I see something negative, I try to keep everything as positive as possible. But the biggest thing is it's consistent. So there's a lot of consistency with the communication throughout the year. It's not just welcome to the group, welcome to the course, welcome to the junior league. And then there's not a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of constant communication there.
Awesome. Thank you, Chad. And I'm just listing out some ideas. Hopefully these are sparking some ideas for some of you guys. Again, Chad does a great job up there in Canada for the short amount of time that he has. But, he's known for many different things. Part of that being his what he does within class, but part of that also being, again, like you said, of how good a person Chad is and the relationship that he builds and the family and the community that he's building up there, not just at one location. I mean, it's spread and what he's doing at multiple places and being able to handle all that. So that's another thing that we're going to dive into a little bit later is how we can, not just list off all of these things. And now this is what you have to do for every single one of your players. And next thing you know, you're working 100 hours a week because you're calling every single person in your class and you're emailing them and texting them and all that stuff. We'll talk about that later. But is there anything, are we scheduling meetings? Are we having sit down meetings with players or players and parents or parents only? Are any of those types of things? Are we communicating through some type of swing video? We use Coach's Eye, which is about to end. Are you doing it with V1 and staying in communication to that? Are you sending that to the parents, just the players, those types of things? And then obviously some social media and different things. So is there anyone that's doing something that maybe I didn't list out here? Any ideas? Anyone that's doing something different? Okay, go in the chat box. Give you a couple more seconds. Doesn't look like any action going on there. All right, so now we're going to start to dive into some of these things, and what I kind of say is, one of the most important, and what Chad said, clear and defined expectations for parents and players. So as you see here, these are some of our welcome emails. So these are what they get when they sign up or register for anything. So the one here in the middle, that's something that they're going to get for any type of program that they have. We're going to have the junior level. And as you see on here, if you look really closely, you're going to see that there's two different things. There's expectations for the parent, and there's also expectations for the player. So this is where you're going to want to make sure that you're very clear with them up front, getting into this program of how you're going to do it. Like, again, some of the things that we have listed off there, on time means 5 minutes before. If you're not going to be at a class, this is what you do. If you're going to be late, this is where we meet. Some of our absence policies, those types of things, asking coaches before or after, like how to communicate with us. So those are things that are targeted directly at your parent. And then obviously there's going to be some expectations for the juniors, which are, coming open and, wanting to try new things, making sure that we're talking with other players nicely, because everything we do is in a group, and just kind of how to act within class. So I think you got to make sure that within some of these things, you're directing some of your expectations towards the parent, so they know, all right, if I have an issue, this is how I go about reaching out to Brian about it. This is what I do before. Instead of what I've always found is, if they are confused, that's when then they get frustrated. So laying this kind of guideline out of how the program itself is going to run. But like you see here, it's not a lesson plan. It's not, this is what we're doing in week 3. This is what's happening in week 2, and here's what we're coaching. It's a little intro about each of these things. And then as you'll see, that's kind of for our beginner level, our camps, for our junior weekly classes. But as you can see over here on the right, it's a kind of little snapshot of some of the stuff that we have for our different levels. So we have our kind of path to champions, which, you go from the beginner to our advanced program to our elite, all the way up through. And so you're going to start to see for some of our players, there's more expected of them as they get into these college path kind of programs. What that allows us to do is we can then be very open and honest with our parents and say, hey, they're in the elite program. They're not communicating with us what's going on outside of class. That's not a good thing. And so if that's something and you're a part of the elite program, as you see, that's an expectation that we're going to hold you to. And if that's something that's too much to ask, okay, maybe we talk about dropping you back down to a level that is more appropriate for you. So that's where you can kind of set the bar right from the beginning and go from there. Another big thing that I've talked to all of our junior kind of coaches and all of that stuff, an absence policy. Like, again, put it out there at the beginning. Too often we don't even have it. And then again, oh, well, Johnny's not going to be at class today. And, we paid for 3 months, but we're going to be gone. And well, if you don't actually put it in writing and make it clear for them, how can you get frustrated when they are sitting there saying, well, I paid for 3 months and that 3 months ends up going 6 months, and you lose money, because that's it really kind of comes down to, is that they don't have to re-sign up for another program and lose money. So with kind of a quick little snapshot of some of these things, does this kind of bring up any thoughts or provoke any ideas or comments from anybody? Who is someone I haven't really heard much from? How about John? John, what are your thoughts? Oh, he's still muted. Must just be listening in. Wayne, anybody want to chime in?
I'll chime in if there's no one there.
Go ahead, Chad.
The biggest thing that I love about the having this prepared for your parents is it saves you a lot of time after registration to answer a lot of questions, the same questions. I found like the first year where I never had an absence policy in place, or I didn't have what we were going to do on rain days. that expectations portion of like all this information is great because it's going to save you a lot of time in the future from answering these questions over and over and over from parents who are, and don't get me wrong, some parents just don't want to read it and they might ask you anyway, but I think it saves you a lot of time in the long run, and that your time is valuable, and being prepared and having all this up front just shows you how, just makes you look a lot more professional than some.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
was going to jump in, Jared, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, Chad just pretty much touched on everything I was going to say, but I'm new to this. Like I said, I left a 30-year mining career and started getting into this, and been teaching Operation 36 for a couple years to our juniors. And that's kind of been one of the big not frustrations, but things I've noticed weakness in my program is that all these questions that keep coming to me about just this stuff right here. And if I just lined it out. So another thing is, okay, so a follow-up would be, now you got to make sure that they're actually reading it and seeing it. And one of the things I haven't done, mostly because of COVID, is kind of have that pre-meeting, before the year meeting, and invite all the parents to it, and kind of have this already published, and you can review it with them again, just to make sure people are
On the same
seeing
page.
it and reviewing it. That's the other part of the communication, right? Just like Chad said, if they're not, you can send all the stuff out in the world, but not everyone's reading it. So
Absolutely. And that's the other thing, is that you want to, if you have a little bit here and a little bit there, it gets confused and they don't see it. And then all of a sudden it's like, why am I going to open that email? Martin Hall, guy on the Golf Channel, right, came out probably 4 or 5 years ago and talked at the NCPGA Teaching and Coaching Summit. And one of the big things that I took away is he said he uses this formula for all of his players. Frustration equals expectations minus reality. So when their expectations are up here and reality is down here, they are going to get frustrated. So he said, my job as a coach is to have them lower their expectations and raise the reality of how good they're playing or whatever. So again, people get frustrated when they have this expectation of what Chad's program is going to be. And then it's like, hold on, that is not the program that you signed up for, right? You're in the elite program, and this is what we are expecting of you. So put it out there, put it right from the beginning. I think it helps, open up that communication line that we're talking about, and everyone gets on the same page. I just realized that my chat box was hidden behind my webcam here, so I opened up some of those. So again, thank you guys, Andrew and Brian, setting expectations at the beginning right there. He knew what we were talking about before I flipped to the next one. Any other comments on kind of some of these clear and defined expectations for, again, not just your players, but for your parents as well? They're the ones that signed them up for. They're the sponsor, I like to call them, of your players and everything. So they're footing that bill. So you got to make sure they stay happy. No other comments? We'll go on kind of to the next topic. All right. So I know you guys know this good old recycle symbol, but I use it more for what we're talking about is, there's 3 people that are involved in this relationship. There's the coach, there's the player, and then there's the parents as well. And normally what I see and where I've learned from is that what we're telling the players and what the players are telling us is one thing, but they go home and they tell the parents something else, right? And this might be something that, again, you have some pictures here, right here in the middle. We got myself and Will and Nico Dolly and Courtney Krause, and then her sister Carly Krause, and how we've developed this relationship with their parents. Nico was there on the first page for us. He was our first Division I golfer to sign a scholarship, and he plays out at Wagner College there in Staten Island, New York. And Nico came to us 7 years. Well, he came to us in 2012 as a nationally ranked swimmer. Never had played golf before. And his parents and us have been on the same page from the very beginning of, we don't care what he does, swimming, golf related. They were 100% behind us. This is a kid that would go and swim in Folsom Lake at 5 o'clock in the morning. We would swim 5 to 7 miles would be their practice. And at 7 o'clock, he would show up on a Saturday morning after he had already done that to our class and be out there. So we knew right from the beginning that this kid is dedicated and everything. So it's not something that we had to push him. But we opened up this communication channel, and his parents absolutely love us. They loved everything that we were doing. They were on board from the very beginning. Instead of somebody where you can have parents in that situation, you have a kid that is nationally ranked in the top 50 in the nation in a couple different events, whatever swimming is, right? And all of a sudden decides he wants to play golf as he's 12, 13 years old. And parents that could probably be maybe bitter, maybe angry, maybe frustrated that, oh my gosh, he's going to make this switch and not do anything. Well, I think they kind of maybe knew their son a little bit, and that anything that he took on, he was dedicated. And about at the age of 16, he was doing both until he was about 16 years old. And then he really went full on in golf and earned himself a D1 college scholarship, and is now about to graduate here in a few months, and is going to be a financial analyst for a Fortune 500 company. So this is ways that, again, you can benefit by just being open and honest with your parents. Again, the Krause family, all three of these have come back and been coaches for us as well. Just, again, you can see how that relationship is built. But what we've seen sometimes is what happens is all of a sudden after a couple months, you might have a girl in your program. And again, if this is a male driven thing, and you have all of these guy coaches, and you have a teenage girl, and you ask her how she's been playing or how she's been hitting her driver, she's always probably going to tell you, I'm playing okay, I'm doing good. Not knowing behind the scenes, and this is things that we've learned, behind the scenes that she's frustrated, and she doesn't want to tell you, Coach Chad, that she's been hitting it bad because she would feel like she's letting you down. And again, it's just that she sees you as you're her mentor. And if I tell Coach Chad that I went out and shot 102 last weekend, that's bad. I'm letting him down. He's going to be upset with me. But they tell their parents, and their parents see him cry or see him frustrated, but they never let you know inside that. And then you don't know how to handle it because you think everything's good. So it's being ways to be able to get to know your players a little bit more, that your parents can kind of reach out to you and say, hey, Courtney might not tell you this, but she's really struggling with her chipping right now, and it's frustrating her. And, she's probably going to say her chipping's okay when you ask her in class. But just to give you a little insight. So then again, as a coach, you can help better coach her the next time you're out there. So those are some of the different types of things. But when you open this communication, I know it's number 2, but it is kind of number 1. You got to set boundaries. So again, the last thing that I want to do is give you all these ideas, and you say, well, Jared, you can only do that if you only have 20 people in your program. No, we coach over 200 kids a week out here at one of our locations, and we have multiple locations. And, you set boundaries right from the beginning. You're not going to answer text messages at 6 o'clock at night. I have an 8-month-old. I have a family. I go out and do fun things. Chad always gets on me because I always go to, Kings games and other things, sporting events, and I'm never coaching, right? But, you set boundaries with your parents of when to contact you, how to contact you. So again, it's, the most effective way. Big things are always, especially with some of your juniors, that make use of the time face to face. I think that when I talk with a lot of our coaches, some of the things that happen are that we're setting all of these scheduled meetings, but 2-minute chat before or after class can go a long way and save you a phone call, a text message, an email, and all of those different types of things. And then, like you said, the relationship that we talked about, coach to player, player to parent, and then the big one, parent back to coach. So any ideas or any thoughts that this kind of provoked from anyone? Chime in as needed. Jump on to the next one if not. Moving along.
I'll just add that communication is so important in everything we do, right? I mean, it's so, but everything we do in life, from our marriages to our kids to every relationship we have. And one of my biggest frustrations is when I think I'm communicating well, I find I'm not, because they're not understanding what I'm saying, or the way I'm saying it isn't clear, or something like that. So it's just, I guess the point would be just be patient and be open and humble, and just try to share everything you can, because it is everything we do. 99% of all problems we have, in what I found in my 30-year mining career and issues I've had with golfers and stuff, is usually comes right down to some simple communication thing.
Absolutely, Andrew. And the big thing too being is that there's not one way, right? I didn't say do one thing, because it doesn't work for everybody. So you're going to find, if you set expectations and you open some of these channels, you're going to find that with Courtney's parents, it was all about just check-in email or check-in text messages once a month, and they would kind of communicate that way. Other people want to have face-to-face meetings right before or after class. Some of the parents would pull me aside after class, and that's fine. They could get a lot out in 5 minutes, then, going back and forth with 27 text messages and stuff like that. So opening up some of these different channels, you're going to be able to find what's the best use for some of these different people. So
Good stuff.
Awesome. And then lastly, one of the things, develop a routine for scheduled meetings. These are some pictures of some of, just using Zoom, right? Some of the things that we did during COVID is that we kept in constant communication with some of our kids. We had throughout COVID, when we were shut down for 8 weeks, we held 30-minute Zoom, classes. And it was just a way, what we said at the time, it was a way for parents to just put their kid in front of a Zoom call for 30 minutes and just breathe and go have a glass of wine or whatever. But it was awesome. And what we have used since is we have Zoom meetings with our advanced players, our college path players. We have Zoom parent meetings. And so Zoom parent meetings for our advanced group, we have once every 3 months, and we have all of them join that call. So they're able to, at that time, they're able to share and hear some of the updates and what's going on, but they're able to get on with other ones. With the players, again, we've utilized Zoom. Everyone's doing it, right? We utilize Zoom to, have weekly ones with our college path, which is helping us tournament prep. It's helping us, work on their practice and their stats and all of those things. So you can do so much stuff in 30 minutes on a Zoom outside of class instead of adding on to what's going on in that class. So I think the big thing is you got to establish a routine for that. And you set those expectations from the beginning. Am I chatting with the parents once a month? Am I chatting with them every 3 months? So setting that kind of bar. You got to, with different ones, you can figure out the level that you want to get personal with them. With some of our college path, we're going to be talking one-on-one because we need to really know what's going on. With some of the junior classes, it's a lot more about, are you having fun? Are they doing good? Hey, great. Is there any questions that you might have about summer camps or stuff like that? So I'm not saying that, again, we have 200 kids in our program. I don't have 200 Zoom calls and parent meetings every single month, or I wouldn't be able to, hop on here with you guys. And like I said, I think you guys are all using it right now. Zoom has a lot of free different things. Use technology, be able to, chat with parents all at a scheduled time late in the evening where, as some of you guys are doing. It doesn't mean that they even need to be involved, right? If you're having just a once every 3 month call where they can get in and listen in live to updates about your program, that's kind of a huge thing. So, developing that routine right from the beginning, I think, is something that, can really happen. And I'm not telling you to sit there and go one-on-one calls and you're doing it every month and you're doing it for every one of your players, because you're going to come back to me and you're going to be like, Jared, I'm now working 94-hour work weeks, but I got great relationships with my parents. No one wants to leave. They love me. So thoughts, who's doing some of these things right now? With any scheduled meetings or anything like that? Anyone doing it? Anyone having success, or anyone find ways that haven't worked? Okay. Well, guys, that's kind of all I got for you. I know it was a quick 30-minute mastermind, but hopefully it really kind of sparked some interest for some of you guys. Chad's been a part of it as well. These are things that we talk about. So setting up some of these expectations, sharing all of these documents, getting on calls with other junior coaches all across the United States, Canada, wherever across the world, and what's working. So we help develop these things for you guys. And again, learn from our mistakes and learn some of our best practices and help you kind of put it in place. So if this is something that you guys we're excited about, you can always, click on the QR or take a screenshot of the QR code there, talk about RGX. We have lots of people that are not just in the junior field, but, all across different levels and how they're doing this at multiple facilities with multiple coaches and hundreds of players. We had a call a little bit ago that, have only coaches with multiple locations. And, we're doing, had 10 or 11 people on that call that we're doing every month. And that's probably in the $4 to $5 million worth of revenue range. And we're all talking about a lot of those different things. So if you're ready to, hop on and take everything to the next level, if you're not already, let us know. Let us know how we can reconnect with some of you guys. If you are within RGX right now and you want some more of these documents and stuff, we can hop on a call. So thank you guys for your time. Hope you had some fun. Hope you got a little bit more. Stay warm up there, Chad. And who else was out there? Brian, I think, was out there in Vermont. I tell you, the spring is coming. I promise. So
Thanks, Jared.
have a good one, guys.
Thanks a lot, Jared. Good stuff. I just wanted to say I heard your story on RGX too, and I just really appreciate it. Thanks a lot. There's a lot of inspiring stuff there as I start my career in golf. There's a lot of stuff there. I wish I was closer to California. I'd come pick your brain all day long. You'd probably have to kick me off the course or something.
Anytime you're out this way, Andrew, anytime I'm driving to Vermont or Montana and I come through Elko. But thank you for that. Like I said, it's always great to get on here and share. So hopefully we can help you along the way and everything. So thank you. Have a good one, Andrew, and everyone else.
Take care. Thanks, everybody.